Hello, and welcome to Page to Frame. I'm Tiger.
And I'm Mage.
Today we're going to go over season 1 recap.
Yeah.
So we're ending the season today.
Oh, I forgot I don't have the thing.
Hmm?
I don't have my Twitch signed in to my own thing. I forgot that I didn't have that.
Oh. I was like, what are you talking about? It took me a second to get what you were saying.
Okay. Yeah, so today we are going to recap the past season that we've been doing of Page to Frame. Not really a book, but a series nonetheless. Alrighty.
Yep, send all the links to Discord.
Nice. So what was that?
So they're all ready to go.
Did you post them already?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So as a reminder that this podcast is a book to film or book to screen adaptation discussion podcast, where we usually read a book and then discuss the differences between its screen counterpart. What's that noise?
There you go. I forgot I didn't mute Twitch.
So as a reminder, we are a book to screen adaptation podcast where we discuss the differences between the book and the screen adaptation, whether that is a movie or TV show. And for this season, we've done quite a bit of books. So we're just going to touch a little bit on them and just kind of see how we've progressed throughout the season and just give everybody a recap as we close out for the time period.
All right. We've gone over quite a bit of different books and movies this season. A total of about 8. We've done the Hunger Games series versus the movie series. We've done Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes versus the movie. We've also done Love at First Sight versus the movie, which is the possibility of love at first sight is
the statistical probability of love at first sight.
There we go. They renamed the movie differently from the book. Just a little shorter, easier, catchier, I'm sure. And then we also covered the recent Percy Jackson series along with the book and movie. We also did a vote on one of the ones that won. It was the Sisterhood of Traveling Pants for the vote that we did with y'all. We also got a request for Ready Player One book versus the movie. And due to the popularity, we decided to go ahead and do Bridgerton. We did the first season, which was featured The Duke and I. And then we also have covered The Viscount Who Loved Me versus season 2 of Bridgerton.
Yep. So that's kind of the summary of all the books that we've gone through. Even though there are kind of 8, there are about, I want to say maybe 10, which is I think a good running books. So we've read about 10 books in total because Hunger Games has 3. So you just add 2 to the already 8 listed. So it gives us a total of 10 books, which is pretty cool. It's almost a book a month, which is kind of what we were going for. So, yeah, did well. Okay. So let's go back to Hunger Games. What were, looking back at the TV show and movie, what were some of the differences that you liked in the books and versus the movies, and what were the differences in the movie that you liked versus the book?
Well, I still wish they had developed Haymitch's character a little bit more.
Haymitch.
Haymitch, my bad. Haymitch's character a little bit more. I think that took away a lot of the deeper meaning by not putting that into the book. I mean, into the movie, because it was in the book and not in the movie. And there was more differences. They followed more along the book, adding only some things differently and removing some things, of course, according to the movie timeline, just made sense. So that was a pretty good adaptation, I believe.
Cool. No, yeah, I think there were definitely clever ways that they tried to take what was written and put it into ultimately 2 hour long movies for books that were like 16-hour reads. So I definitely do think they did a good job. I understand Haymitch is a very popular character, and a lot of people were hoping that the next Hunger Games book was going to be about him, and I don't even think the newest one is. So I think we're still waiting for his book to come out and more backstory on him in just general. But the one I thought got the least amount of screen time was Finnick Odair, because he was one of my favorite characters. So I wish that the movie series would have had a little bit more Finnick in them than they did. But you can't get everything in films, unfortunately. It was really, I think, really good adaptation. I think for both of us, it was really hard to determine whether there was one that we preferred over the other. I think we both agreed that they complemented each other in a very strong way.
Yes, we did. Because that's exactly what we went over. Because I don't remember disagreeing with it. I know a lot of times we did pick one or the other with some of these, but that is one that we did agree on, that we had a hard time choosing.
Yep. All right, so let's move on to the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which of course was the prequel to Hunger Games. And what were some of the kind of things that you remember that you liked about the book to film adaptations and just general stuff?
If I remember correctly, I believe I chose the book for the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, just because this was even a larger book than any of the other Hunger Games books. And there was so much detail, I believe, that was missed and cut short for the sake of the movie, that they could have done just a little differently to properly express the book. I definitely thought so, because I think the relationship between who ends up ultimately President Snow and our female lead, which I can't remember her name off the top of my head for some reason.
I was gonna say, can you remember her name?
No, I was like, I can picture her face from acting, but I don't remember her name. Lucy.
Lucy Gray.
There you go.
It's funny, after you said it, okay, Lucy Gray, but I could not remember until you said it.
So it looks like we both blanked on her name. So apparently that's what she originally was, such a very more of a plain Jane character that didn't really come out until she expressed herself.
Yeah, I always did love the comparison that they said Katniss was a fighter who was made to perform, and Lucy Gray was a performer made to fight.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer Katniss personally as a more stronger character, but I do remember, yes, agreeing with you in the sense that the book was definitely better than the adaptation. And in this particular case, Even though it may have hurt the movies, this would be my one exception to part one and part two of a movie series, just because in the book itself, it feels very much like two separate books.
It really does.
However, I think we did discuss that they, as much as they were two different books, the hard part about it was that the more entertaining and Hunger Games-esque part of the book was the beginning half. So there was like a lot less motivation for us to have seen part two if they had broken it up. So understandably why they didn't. But I do think that it may have warranted at least a part two instead of cramming it all into one movie, as you've said. It definitely loses a lot of impact from the book.
That's another one we agreed on. I know some of them, there was like almost half that we didn't. I don't remember now. But
Yeah, on that one we both agreed that the book was better. I think in this next one is when we disagreed.
oh, okay.
So
Yeah. Okay, yeah, we did on the next one. Love at First Sight, we did for Valentine's Day. We thought it'd be perfect, little cute romantic book to do for Valentine's Day.
which, just to add on to that, one of our viewers actually in our Discord pointed out to me that it was even a book to film adaptation because, as Tiger mentioned, they did name the book differently than the movie. They made it shorter in the Netflix series or in the Netflix movie. So I was not aware that it was a book until it was brought to our attention by on Discord with our community. So I think that one was a great choice of book to film.
It was because I remember we watched the movie all together.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 4 or 5 of us that watched it
Mm-hmm.
all together in Discord. And then we got told it was a book. So she's like, you got to do it next. And that's what we did.
Yeah, it was a perfect Valentine's Day book. So, what were some of the book to film differences that you liked, disliked, just like a little bit of a snippet if you can remember back?
I remember I chose the book and you chose the movie for this one in particular. That I think more could have been translated into the movie, even though I really liked the movie. But as some of you may remember, I'm very love to hear the details. And in order to make the movie what it was, they did cut out quite a bit of detail, which was sad. And moved around some scenes and cut out some scenes and cut out some characters as well. So it was just slightly different. I think some of the impact was lost on certain scenes because of that. But it was still a very good movie, that's for sure. Just a bit different from the book. It didn't follow it. They followed it quite well, but removed quite a bit of building of going back and seeing the character, the growth that they end up doing.
So I am in agreement with Tyre on the differences that they did do. A lot of, well, first of all, if you do watch that episode of Love at First Sight that we did, we make it very clear that Oliver's storyline is completely different from the book. And I actually did I understood the value of it in the book, but Ben Hardy is the Oliver character in the movie, and it just wins for me. But there are certain scenes, like Tiger was mentioning, that didn't really work with the specific storyline. Like one of the bigger ones was in the airplane scene when they're actually falling in love for the first time. They get mistaken for being together. in the TV show, and it kind of feels like out of nowhere, and it feels like juxtaposition. Like, why would she even think that or say that? But in the books, you are aware that they were already kind of chit chatting and playing around with each other, and this person was literally sitting in the middle of them. And they then lie and say they're together in order to sit next to each other. So it's I think
not first class like in the movie.
and yes, and it wasn't first class. It was
Coach, economy, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, economy, just like the rest of us that fly that way. So yeah, so I can understand how like that scene and maybe multiple scenes didn't fall as well, but I definitely think the movie stands on its own. I think the changes that it made was perfect for it being respectful of the source material, but also really, really great. And again, that male actor, I definitely liked Oliver in the book, but I honestly fell in love with him in the movie, and that was ultimately my difference. Um, I felt like the book was a little bit, as much as you do get a lot of information about Oliver, and don't get me wrong on that, but to me, it felt more like I was rooting for her and not really him. And in the movie, I was rooting for both of them. I had popcorn in hand. I literally watched that movie every day for an entire month. So there was no way the book was beating that in my head. So.
That's what happens when you watch a movie repeatedly. You're going to be a fan more of that probably. As in any movie to book adaptation, if you watch it before you read it, you'll think one way. And if you read it before you watch it, you have certain expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you're really one of those people that try your best to be open-minded about it.
Which is very, very difficult and very hard to do.
It is.
But yes, we have found that if you read the book first, you then develop expectations that sometimes can alter the way that you view a movie. And if you watch it first before you read it, it gives you, I have always thought, a more kinder perspective. Like you're able to forgive more things than the other way around. But at the same time, book to film adaptations aren't perfect. I have yet to see a perfect one, and not even Harry Potter did it perfectly. So it is a hard trade to do.
Ultimately, it depends on the writing of the script and the direction the director wants to take. So there's a lot of different factors.
Alrighty, and then the next one that we did was the Percy Jackson. Now, this one we did a little bit differently because there was the movie, the TV show, and the book. And we kind of compared all three of them just because we thought naturally, and as it happened, naturally we would just compare them all together because they are the same story with the same characters, but very, very different approaches. Very different.
Yes. Completely different. First of all, in the movie, when it first came out several years ago, they changed quite a few things compared to the book and the actual TV show. The writer was not involved at all with the movie, to his dismay. He was very public about and opinionated about it, that they decided to do it without him and ruin his material being portrayed. Because the movie is hardly compared to the book. There's different ages from the original characters. There's a lot of scenes that were done differently. It's totally different. Which we both agreed. I think we both agreed that we'd even like the book to movie adaptation form.
You mean book to TV show form?
No, the movie.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember what I had said at that time. It was a very long podcast. If you guys want to check it out, be free to. It should be on YouTube. But I do know that I really enjoyed the movie when I first watched it, and before I had ever read the book, it was a very enjoyable movie for me. But in comparison to the book, it does falter quite a bit, and it does, as Tiger was saying, very almost unrecognizable to the source material. That being said, I'd love to meet Percy Jackson, and I will not lie. Aside from Grover, everyone else looked exactly like I thought they would look in the book.
Yeah.
So that is the one thing I do like about the movie. I do know they aged them up, but aside from aging them up, they definitely looked like what I thought of when I saw these characters. And in the TV series, they did not, except for Grover. Again, he is my one exception that is who I thought of when I thought of Grover. But everyone else looked quite a bit different than what was described in the book.
Yes, they were. We explicitly went over that for a minute too.
We did go down that rabbit hole for that one, but yes, for the TV show, the author was much more involved. I will say that the setting of it, like the set design and everything from the TV show, really did feel like what you would imagine would have been Percy Jackson and the Half-Blood Camp. So I do think that was very impressive of how immersive that world was to the possibility of Percy Jackson. So for that one, I think that the both TV show and movie were very different. I think I voted for the book, but I honestly don't remember. Now looking back at it, I still vote on the book.
I believed I had a hard time choosing because I did really enjoy the movie when it first came out, yet I hadn't read the book. So I didn't know it was they were aged up and the complete differences. And reading the book, I did enjoy it a lot more. I do think they did pretty well, especially on the world building for the. Hi, Ducky. I do think they did really well with doing the world building in the TV show and going through the challenges that they had to go through. And they followed more of the source material with those challenges than they did with the movie. So I definitely enjoyed seeing that a lot better, even though some was removed, of course. So I did wish to see a slightly more towards the book, but I think I had a toss up on that one, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with the differences in both of those. I always saw the movie as a video game-esque version of the challenges, quite different than what they were in the book, and then in the TV series, they were more true to form. Not exactly the same. I believe there were like one or two changes, but really good overall diversity in both adaptations. But yeah.
We're doing good, Ducky. Ducky was asking how we are, and we're doing pretty well. Just a quick recap for you just coming in. We are going over the first season and ending our season with this episode.
Yep. Okay. So that was Percy Jackson movie, book, and TV show. The next one.
Greek mythology enthusiasts, which I am one. So it was very enjoyable.
Yeah, and then we even did merch for it.
did.
on our merch. That one was fun. I liked the whole family tree aspect of it.
Yeah, that was cute. I don't think we did that many for that, all the books. I think eventually we were going to try to.
But
Yeah.
it just got ahead of us.
Yeah. We'll see what we'll do in the future, and we'll talk about it. Okay, and the next book that we did for Voters' Choice that we did across all our media platforms is the Sisterhood of Traveling Pants movie versus book. Honestly, I hadn't watched this movie in years. I've seen it before, and I've never read the book, so it was definitely a interesting look because I didn't expect that we would be reading this book, to be honest. So there was quite a bit of differences because I think, if I remember correctly, they aged them up still slightly, not a lot.
By 1 to 2 years, yeah.
I was like, it was just a little bit, not a lot. They took away events and characters and changed them. I remember specifically that they removed. Oh man, my deal with names today. Names evade me. The one that played Lori in freaking Gilmore Girls. What's her name? What was the character's name?
Oh! I know who you're talking about, but I really can't remember. Bridget? No, Bridget.
No, Bridget was the one that went to soccer, the soccer camp.
Yes, that was Ryan Reynolds' wife.
Yeah,
Like
Blake Lively. Blakely Lively.
What is it? Carmen was the Hispanic.
Yeah, Carmen was the Hispanic. You know what? We have the internet for some reason. Sisterhood. There we go. Okay. Carmen, Tibby, Lena. There we go.
Lena.
So
See,
Lena,
got close.
yeah, I know. It's like it's an L. I thought I knew for some reason I knew it was L, but I was like Lori from Gilmore Girls. Or yeah, what was her name in Gilmore Girls? I think it was Lori. Rory. There we go. Maybe that's why I got it mixed up. It was an L here, and yeah, things happen. Anyway, they completely removed the her sister, which I think played a little bit of an impact, being the buffer, and a lot of scenes in the book that didn't translate over into the movie. You're like, oh, hey, what? So I think the book was a little fast paced compared to the book. It was just like, what happened? Because this all happens within a summer.
Mm-hmm.
And they make it seem like it's only a couple weeks.
Yeah. No, yeah. I remember that I was very surprised when our audience chose Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants because we had put in a lot of our newer series.
Well, Ducky's just listening in and showing support. So we appreciate your support, Ducky.
Thank you, Ducks. So yeah, we had literally, I think, put it as a one-off, like, I can't think of any other movie. Let's put this one. And I don't think any of us, either one of us expected it to be picked. And then it was. And then luckily for me, I had already gotten the book. And I think did I lend you the book?
No, I think I bought it. Yeah, I think I bought it.
Okay. No, I lent you the Percy Jackson books. Those were the ones.
Yeah, those are the ones you lent me.
Yeah, so I had gotten them a long time ago from my mom's best friend. She had given me the books. I never read them. I had just watched the movies a very long time ago, as Tiger also stated for her. And so I thought it was very interesting how different it was. I think Carmen's storyline was the one that I didn't like in the movie at all, and I loved in the book. It was one of my favorites in the book.
I think Titties was your favorite, though.
Tibby was my favorite in both versions.
Yeah.
Because they did such a good job with her. Carmen was my one of my tops in the book, just because of dealing with that and how they really respected what it was like to have divorced parents and feeling like you're being replaced. And like it made way more sense in the book than it did in the movie. In the movie, as I went on my rant last time, they made her seem like a brat in the movie, and I didn't really like that because I love the actress that played her.
Yeah.
So,
Great actress.
so yeah, it was definitely something that I definitely picked the book on this one just because the storylines were more solidified and they really leaned on each other's friendships because we were able to see kind of in their mind and in their thought process, we were able to really feel the friendship of the sisterhood and not just be told about it.
And I did agree. I agreed that the book was a lot better than the movie. Just because it did exactly that. You could feel more of that within the book than I think really that came across on the screen.
Yep.
I think they only did really the one that I did empathize the most with during the movie was probably the incident where Bridget. Well, I think she actually calls somebody in the movie, but in the book, Lena got a letter from Bridget. Oh no, she did. It's the same way they got a letter, but she instantly called. And on the movie, she happened to find the letter under her bed, and called over. There was both of them.
No, yeah, I was going to say, I think you're flipping them. Yeah, in the book, she calls her. So she finds the letter and immediately calls her. And then in the movie, she just finds the letter after the fact. And she doesn't even call Bridget. She calls someone else
To go and
to
see her. Yeah.
go and get her. And in the book, she straight up just goes, I gotta go. Like, that's actually why she's like so in a hurry to leave, is to get to her. And has nothing to do with like, oh, the summer's over, I gotta go. Like,
Yeah.
no, it like had more of an impact because, and it's weird because in the movie they make him leave when it's her that leaves. Like they make whatever the dude's name is, I can never pronounce it. The Greek guy, they make him leave off to school.
Well, where's his name?
Gustav or something.
Katos? Katos?
No. It's like pronounced very differently, that's why.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I was trying to remember.
Yeah. So either way, the Greek man, he like leaves, even though in the book that's like part of the issue is that he stays in Greece. So they do kind of a long distance, and they kind of come like fall apart from that. So it's like very weird that he's the one that's leaving off to school, even though he lives in Greece.
Yeah, that wasn't at all part of the book. I don't know why they went through that in there.
Literally so that they could urgently be split up and have that romantic moment that they have in the book. But again, the book has it because she has to run off and go and meet her friend at the camp, because she goes to the camp. She actually meets Bridget's friends, and you know, they're all like, oh, you weren't making up these three friends that you have friends with. So it's like a really like wholesome sisterhood type of book, and it concades on top of each other, and it just adds to the beauty of their friendship. So as much as their storylines itself are really grand and beautiful, it's their inner like friendship that you're rooting for the entire time. And in the movie, it's more like what's happening to them more than you rooting for them.
It's more really storytelling than you getting immersed in the book or movie.
Agreed. No, yeah. I mean, like I had said, even in the episode where we talk about this, it's when Carmen kind of like fights back with her dad. In the book, I'm like, you go, girl. I mean, that was a little too much, but you go, girl. And in the movie, I'm like, why are you being a brat? Why are you doing that? Like, that's just so not cool. And so it really does show you the difference of these missing scenes, these missing moments of, like, I know in the movie they have it where Tibby and Carmen kind of look at each other when they talk about the little girl. But I always thought that was weird. But in the book, you find out that Carmen met this little girl. She understood the impact. She was grateful to this little girl for being there for Tibby because they couldn't be.
Yeah, because she came home early, so.
Yep. So she understood the impact of this loss. And in the movie, you're like, why are they looking at each other like that? Like, they know. They don't. Carmen just got here. She don't know nothing.
Came in after she passed away in the movie.
And in the book, she doesn't, which is, again, very much adding to their impact, adding to their kind of friendship and their overall empathy towards each other. So I think we both agreed on the book being the winner for this one in particular.
Yeah. Excuse me. Okay, and then the next one we did after Sisterhood of Traveling Pants, we did the very, I know, well-liked Ready Player One movie versus the book. This was the same way as Percy Jackson. It was completely different from the book to the movie. Completely. We both believed that they made these changes to have more of entertainment aspect because in a lot of the actual challenges, there's more challenges than just 3 in the book. There's like 6 because they double it because they have the game and they have the gate for each.
They have the key and the gate, yes.
Yeah, there you go, the key and the gate. So it's more that was involved than originally that was told in the movie because I watched the movie first before I even realized it was a book. So I was very excited to read the book because I really liked the movie. I think you said you read the book. I mean, you watched the movie too first?
I did. I will say on this one, I think I liked the movie more. I would have to look back at the episode to see. But as you've mentioned, a lot of the changes that they made were to become more cinematic. So this like kind of adds to it. I think I liked, other than the fact that it makes no reason how all of them are together in the van fighting the bad guys, which is explained in the book.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that slight weird, doesn't make sense moment, and if you ignore that, I definitely liked the movie. I loved the aesthetics. I loved the visuals. I thought it was very beautifully done. At the end of the day, the source material will always be the book, and that is the correct. Because this one is so different that it's kind of like hard.
You barely recognize it. And you're like, oh yeah, I just kind of make the connection because it's the same title.
And the same names.
Yeah, that's what I was like, the same title and the same characters.
Yeah.
But there were so many differences that it's crazy to even think about that we did discuss in the episode Ready Player One if you would like to go and see it, because that would be a lot to go over.
Yep. There were definitely, I think we definitely both had strong feelings about that stuff. And then Yeah, I honestly can't remember which one I like more. I do know that I loved visually the movie, of course, because it's visual. But there were definitely story points that I loved the challenges in the movie. So like the gate, all four in the movie version. But character wise and like evilness, I liked the book.
Yeah, I think I was a lot of the same way. I think we both had a toss up on this that we didn't know which one to choose because I did visually like the movie. It was very entertaining. It was a very good movie. I think they did it very well done. However, again, I like detail. I love story plot lines that develop characters, and I don't. Uh, it wasn't as deep as it could have been in the movie than it was compared to the book. They made it seem like it was a matter of maybe a couple weeks that they had this in the movie that this happened, but this happened over a course of like 2 years in the book. I think
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like 2 years, something like that, because he went like a year hiding out.
No, yeah, I definitely think you're right in that it's definitely closer to 2 years, if not longer.
Hmm.
Because you are right, he did go into hiding for at least 6 months. I don't know how much. I just remember, yeah, thinking the same thing that the movie makes you feel like it happens within like 3 months of everything.
Hmm.
And in the book, it's very clear, like it's been months from like the start of this book to the end of the book. It's been at least 2 years. So I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, because it shows a lot more of the relationship between Parzival and
Artemis.
Artemis, and they didn't just fall in love with each other within like a week.
Oh yeah, it ends up being like a whole like they fall in love along like it takes a while for them to fall in love too in the book,
Hmm.
which I like.
I did too. That's why I was like, it really showed development of them, of all of them, more in the book than in the movie.
And the book made me cry. We
Yeah,
all remember what scene made me cry.
yeah, that his brother died. The brother died. Which one was it?
Daito.
Daito. There we go. I was like, one of the brothers died, and they aren't even really brothers, like
They
in the
are
movie.
brothers, and he's not a kid.
Yeah, he wasn't a kid as he is in the movie. They're actually both pretty older adults, like in their 20s. So
They're adults.
it definitely does a lot more character background that where you really understand the entirety of the movie if you read the book.
Yeah.
So it was a toss up. I liked both.
Yeah, we definitely had way more to say on the subject, but go ahead and check that out on YouTube if you are interested in that. But yeah, it was it was hard because they are very different. Um, Overall, like there are definitely differences that happen between characters, and all the obstacles are very different. So
Very interesting though. I would have loved to see it translated, to be honest, but I know it's hard to do because some of the obstacles were actually
very boring.
they were movies that they played to win the game. And
Copyright, man, copyright laws.
yep, well, they had a lot of different things that they already had in there too.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, but it's there are a lot of things you can get away with in the book than you can't do in feature films.
yeah,
And it goes back to the idea of a book has an endless VFX budget and a cast only limited by your imagination. So I think it's a
yep.
beautiful quote. Don't remember who said it, but it wasn't me. I promise you that.
You have no ownership of the quote.
Mm-mm, nothing. Uh,
All right, and then finally to close out the season, we did. Oh, we're also looking ready at. I really want to see the second movie. and read the second book when it comes out, because they are working on that. That is talks of that. And hoping to also see a second season of Percy Jackson, which I think they already are okayed for, if I remember correctly.
I don't remember.
I think they were. I'm gonna look it up later. Yeah, because it was great. And then I guess we'll see about the next movie of the Hunger Games. It's supposed to be another prequel, if I recall correctly.
People were very mad it wasn't Haymitch.
Yeah. I know it wasn't Haymitch, but I don't remember what it was about. I have to go and look it up.
Yep. I was mad it wasn't about Haymitch. I want that boy. Can you imagine a Hunger Games with 20? Well, wait, normally it's 24.
Yeah, I think they doubled it to 48.
Yeah, 48 tributes, and only one lives. Only one.
I know, that's crazy. That's a lot of death.
Beautiful. That's 2 hours worth of material right there.
Mm-hmm. Actually, probably 3, because they gotta go. They go through all the steps.
Yeah,
like the prep, the gathering, the reaping, the gathering, the little show off thing that they do. The pre, I think they started doing it with President Snow, so they kind of did the preview, what they're all about, to kind of sell up them have them be sponsored.
Yeah, so all of that was created and brought up in the 10th annual Hunger Games, and then it was solidified on the 11th, which is the one that Maggie wins, the old lady in Catching Fire. She wins that one, and that's the one where the victor gets money. The district that wins
Hunger Games again.
Huh?
They're not supposed to be put back in the pot to go in the Hunger Games.
Yeah, they're not supposed to be able to go back in the reaping. So they're given money, and they're given the victor's home. Their district is given extra food for the year. Mm-hmm. So they start all of that really solidifying in Tribute 11. So in Tribute 50, which is Haymitch's, it would have been really interesting to see. It would have also been a quarter quell, so you would have gotten more of the feeling of Catching Fire, which personally was one of my favorite Hunger Games, if not my favorite Hunger Game.
Really good.
Yeah, so I think it would have just been a slightly longer movie of Catching Fire, and I would have loved that.
We are definitely voting to hopefully get a book and a movie about it. Possibly 2, because that's quite a bit of material. I think they would end up breaking it up. Maybe. We'll see. They didn't do it with the Songbirds of Snakes, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Yeah. I don't think they would do it for that one either.
We can hope. Either that or they translate it a little bit differently.
Well, the problem would be that there's not enough killing. Like, they would have literally had to stop it either right before they go into the Hunger Games or in the middle of the Hunger Games, and that's, like, a little weird.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I don't think that they would ever do a part 1 and part 2 of a Haymitch version. I think they would just do it all in one movie, make it maybe 3 hours, just like they did a Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So it just would be definitely a longer movie than the average length of a movie, but it would be one, I believe.
Well, I do agree with that, unfortunately. I just wish they would, but we don't choose to make those decisions above our pay grade.
Not even that. It's just like financially, as a person who's done project management for a set and a TV show, like, there would be no upside. Because it's not like a Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes clearly has a break in the middle. So there's like a definitive break that you could be like, this is where the next movie starts. And again, us not have reading the Haymitch book because it doesn't exist yet. I wouldn't know if there's a break, but I just would assume because there's so much focus on the Hunger Games that there wouldn't be a natural break in that book. So that's why I think financially it wouldn't make any sense, and story-wise it wouldn't make sense. If they did it, it is literally just to nickel and dime people into going to the movie theater. If they did it. Not anything for story-wise. But yeah.
I can understand that.
All right, so then we went on to do, for its popularity, Bridgerton, The Duke and I, Season 1, which is actually something recently we did about a month or so ago, where we talked about the differences. We answered most asked questions. We actually focused on Bridgerton quite a bit.
So we hope you go and take a look and watch that episode along with the next one.
Yeah.
With a continuation of the Viscount Who Loved Me is Season 2 of Bridgerton.
Which I think it's interesting because The Duke and I was not that different from the TV show. It had its differences, but it wasn't terribly different.
It wasn't as major.
Yeah. And then the Viscount Who Loved Me was so different that I was just like, I don't like it. But I get why they did it, because the books themselves are very similar and they complement each other a lot, that it would just be another repeat of a season. And as a filmmaker, I could understand why they would be like, no, we need to change it up. I just wish they would have kept certain things.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I understand that there was a lot of similarity between the first and second season because both the men were basically forced to get married. So,
I mean, even the story beats is all I'm saying, is like the fact that they say that they don't like each other, they're secretly falling in love with each other. Like if I literally broke it down book to book, and I could, because I'm a super nerd about that, but there were so many story beats that were just beat for beat. Like, this is how book 1 did it, and this is exactly how book 2 did it. And they are like almost the same scene with a different character. And I can understand not wanting to do that in the live action. But as you've said, the only thing that I would personally have liked them to include would be the character backstories. So, like, Kate really being afraid of storms and not just like, okay, you kind of dislike them. No, like, she was nearly having a panic attack every time it rained. Just like Anthony had a panic attack with bees. Like, just
yeah, they missed
that connection.
And because they bond over like the fear of their own demons that they're having to deal with, and they lose that impact by not involving it in the show, which is very saddening because I don't think it showed how much they really loved each other. Instead of it seeming like it was just lust. To me, that's what it came across in the second season, at least. It was more of just lust. Until Anthony actually expresses, you drive me crazy so much that I love you. And you're like, where's that coming from? Like, what? To me, I was very thrown off compared to that. And then the book, you can actually see him falling in love with her.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with that. In the book, it is more earnest. Them falling for each other, they complement each other, they make each other better versions of each other. And then the sister isn't so bratty either, and so ungrateful.
Oh my god, I hated that. I was like, why has she got to be such a brat?
I know, I hated
like the book character of her.
Me too. I really liked the book character of her. I did not like the movie or the TV show character of her. So yeah, no. For season 2, I definitely think the book wins. Season 1, it's a toss-up. They are so similar to me slight differences here and there, but like I loved them both. It was really the Viscount Who Loved Me season 2 that I was just like, and then they did it again for season 3, and I'm so sad.
The only thing I've read the third book, and I do wish they would have made season 3 the third book and did them kind of in order.
Oh yeah, it's kind of weird that Benedict got skipped over.
Yeah.
Especially like this when they have like the sitting down and the whole now we're just getting off topic to season 3, but when the two brothers get Colin and they're like talking about like wives and getting married, and I'm like, Benedict, you're supposed to have a wife right now. Did you know that in this time period you should have a wife?
Yeah, I think they really did a disadvantage the books by not putting Benedict in the third season and putting Colin and Penelope in the third season instead, because they set it up for the next season, for season 4 to be Benedict. Spoiler, but it still made me sad because it seems that that it wasn't. I think it messes up some of the dynamic that is supposed to happen actually in the books. And they also throw in other things in the third season. So anyway, we haven't read that one. I just wanted to say, since if you haven't watched Bridgerton season 3, it's out. Go watch it. Hopefully we can get to that at a later date.
Who knows? No, yeah. That one's a funny one. I definitely agree. I would have loved the seasons to stay the same as the books, just for a multitude of reasons. But I think maybe the only reason why they maybe jumped the gun was because people were already anticipating that. I do know Colin and Penelope were favorites in the show, but that means that we could have had a little bit more of them in the season.
Exactly. Like, I think they could have played them a side story more in the third season. So, and in the third season, they could have done Benedict and Francesca instead of Colin, Penelope, and Francesca. Because I was like, why are they throwing like 2 in there? Well, I was thrown off by that. But
yeah, well, the thing is that Francesca's book is in the past tense.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, people were happy to see it at present day. I think what should have happened is Benedict should have had his storyline, and then Colin and Penelope still be in the sidelines, and it's slowly developing. Like, he's finally getting over himself and over, like, the one cousin, because that was annoying and frustrating. And then in season 4, it would be literally the season that we got season 3, maybe more closer to the book.
Mm-hmm.
Can't all have everything.
Nope, we can't. We can only voice our opinions.
Netflix, hire me. I'll do all the Bridgerton adaptations. Yeah. But yeah, so it's been fun. We've read 10 books in total in our one season of series, which I think is very admirable. I think it's more than most people, but not more than book lovers. Don't come for me. I know you will.
I know. Usually, if we're not busy with life and we really have chance to really sit down and read a book, you probably read more. Depending on your lifestyle. Mm-hmm. But this was something definitely that had started off under different life circumstances. And of course, as life goes, we change and grow. So we were glad to at least have achieved 10 episode chapters with y'all.
Yep. Which were fun 10 books, some which were recommended to us, some we brought based on the popularity of the time, and some due to the fact that you guys voted for them, which is all. I think the poll was probably one of my funnest because it was the most surprising. And it was really fun to be able to go to something in the past and not be worried about, oh, it just came out. We have to like do book talk now instead of like, well, it's been like
Yeah.
10 years. We can take it slow.
Yeah. I think that definitely alleviated some pressure doing it that way, and maybe uh, cause people to go and read the book and watch them. That's what we're hoping for. We're hoping for your discussion points with us.
Yep. So, like we've said, we are very much an open community. We have a Discord that Tiger runs that we try to kind of converse and discuss books that we like. We are here for the people that want to read the books and read along with us because we love the differences. And we're here for the people who maybe don't have the time to read the books but want to know the differences between them. And I think we've done a really good job in our podcast to kind of relay the differences and kind of the sense of what is possible and what is feasible within the world of book to screen adaptations.
Yes, I completely agree that we were able to touch those points. I'm proud of how far we've come since the beginning. Um, as far as I saw, there wasn't a lot of podcasts that were like us that had that many episodes. So we've definitely, I think, achieved a goal, going as far as 10.
Yep. Of course, we have more episodes than just 10 episodes, but
Yes.
discussing at least 10 books, which is really, really fun. And immersing ourselves, we definitely had some fun times with the quizzes and having our our followers kind of do the test with us. That was always fun, and seeing people's knowledge of the book or TV show was really, really fun, and just a really good, enjoyable time.
I do agree. We did have fun with people who did attempt to do the quizzes with us, even though they haven't read the book or the movie. They did try, and we love our community for still trying and supporting us.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. So, any final thoughts, Tiger?
The only thing I may say is if there's any suggestions for us or any future things um, to do in a second season that anybody would like to see.
Yeah, let us know. We will try to keep you posted on season 2 of us starting up. I think realistically, it might not be until 2025 just because of life and life. But we will be keeping people posted. I will probably still be editing up our episodes to make them shorter and more compact for you guys to read. So please follow our YouTube channel. It will always have our most up-to-date things. I will always put the unedited versions on our Patreon. So that will kind of still stay up for a little while until season 2. If that continues, we'll just, keep you guys informed. Our X, keep wanting to call it Twitter, but our Twitter and Facebook are usually where we send out our messaging, and our Instagram is also where we put like shout outs, and of course our community tab on YouTube. So we are very strong on YouTube and very strong on Twitch. Our other social medias, we only update kind of. We got to get better about that, but that is a future thing. But we will keep you posted on possible future seasons. And let us know if there are certain things that you want us to touch on. I know Immortal Instruments was a huge one that we didn't get to, but who knows?
Possibly finishing out Bridgerton as well. by the time.
I think that one would be more of a like we wait till season 4 type of deal
Yeah.
to feel that it's relevant to the time, like we did for this one, where we did the 2 months that it split up. I think it worked to our favor. But yeah, let us
Hey,
know.
boy. Welcome in.
Ooh, been a long time.
Yeah, it has been.
Yeah, I definitely think like 6:30 to 7 o'clock is a really good time for us for some reason. But yeah, that is the conclusion of what we have going on. Thank you guys for all the love and support. We will keep you updated on anything. But for as of right now, that is a wrap for season 1 of Page to Frame.
We hope you enjoy, and if you haven't caught up, please go and watch us on YouTube. They're edited from here, and then you would, if you'd like to be a Patreon, you can see the unedited videos on there. And I think now, only if you just now starting with us, we have multiple platforms, so you can like, subscribe, follow, and rate, because we have multiple platforms you can enjoy us on.
Sounds good. See you guys. Bye.
Bye. Until next